All right, good morning and welcome to this week's edition of NCompass Live. I am your host, Krista Porter, here at the Nebraska Library Commission. NCompass Live is the Commission's weekly webinar series where we cover a variety of topics that may be of interest to libraries. We broadcast the show live every Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. Central Time. But if you're unable to join us on Wednesdays, that's fine. We do record the show as we are doing today, and it will be available for you to watch later at your convenience. And I'll show you at the end of today's show where you can access all of our show archives. Both the live show and the recordings are free and open to anyone to watch. So please do spread the word about NCompass Live to anyone you think might be interested in any of the topics we have on the show. For those of you not from Nebraska, the Nebraska Library Commission is the state agency for libraries. So we're similar to your state library. So we provide services and training and resources and databases and grants and anything and everything to all types of libraries in the state. So you will find shows on NCompass Live for all types of libraries: public, academic, K-12, schools, corrections, museums, archives, historical societies. Really, our only criteria is that it's something to do with libraries. We bring in guest speakers on NCompass Live often from all across the country. And sometimes out of the country. But we also have Nebraska Library Commission staff that sometimes do presentations for us, and that is what we have today. Joining me today for her annual Best New Children's Books of 2024 is Sally Snyder. Good morning, Sally. And she is our coordinator here at the NLC, the Library Commission. She is our coordinator of children and young adult library services. And at the end of the year, she does a couple of regular, like I said, annual shows for us. She previously did a session on books that you could use for summer reading, for next year's summer reading program. But then she also does the Best New Children's Books, which we're doing today, and then her companion show, we'll say, Best New Teen Reads of 2024. That will be on January 8th. So if you are a youth librarian who handles children all the way from, what are we talking, preschool up to senior year?
Up
in
to
total?
18.
Yeah, you could watch both of these shows. But today we are talking about the children's books, which for preschool through elementary. So I will hand it over to you, Sally, to show us where you have your resources and tell us about all the cool books you read this year.
Well, I'm going to go over here to the Library Commission main page, and in that search box, I'm going to type in handouts. Well, I don't have to type very much because there it is. And so if you get that, you'll see Library Commission handouts. It says that because I always thought other people would put their handouts here, but they must think I'm a hog or something, because they're all mine right now. But anytime, if you can talk someone into plopping theirs in here too, we can do like Sally or, Holly and that kind of thing if we want to. So for my presentation today, right here under 2025, it does say 2025 NCompass Live. We're not quite there yet, but
oh, that should say 2024, yeah.
Here it is.
Yeah.
Best New Children's Books of 2024. So there's the list. It's 9 pages, I think, something like that. And that's how you can find it if you're looking for my book list. And you can print that or download it, I think, any of those things.
Yep, you can go get that right now if you want to. Anyone wants to pop over to our website, nlc.nebraska.gov, and you will be able to access it there.
So I'm going to go ahead and block out my my page where I showed you how to get there with my PowerPoint that I have the book covers on. And just a couple things I want to talk about before we get going. And one is I have a blurb list. Yes, now I'm not going to read it word for word, but it has the things I want to be sure and mention about the particular book. And also, if I have I can't remember this book at all, then I can have something to prompt my comments. So that's why I have the blurb sheet, so I can get done in a reasonable amount of time, which is going to be more than an hour, I suspect. I haven't actually timed this one yet. And these books are ones, we get a number of books from publishers as review copies, so they come to us for no charge. And when we're done with them here, then we put them on a shelf where the system directors come and take off whatever ones catch their eye, to give to libraries in their part of the state. So they don't go in my pocket. They don't go home with me. Well, they do while I read them, and then I bring them back, and then they are given to all kinds of libraries, school libraries, public libraries, academic libraries, if there's something of interest to them. And that's up to the system directors to deal with and handle. So a lot of the books I'm going to talk about come from that batch that we get. I also look at the public library. I read different blog postings and things to find titles that maybe I haven't gotten here, but lots of people are excited about this book. I should try and find it and read it. Everything I talk about today, I have read the entire book. Unless I say, if it's a nonfiction one, my example I used earlier is about algebra. Please don't make me read a whole book about algebra. I took algebra in high school, and I know it's important, but I am not a math person, so that's not my favorite book. Anyway, so.
But it will be somebody else's favorite, though.
It probably is. And I will tell you, I read this much of this book, and it has great reviews, and what I read was good, so I'm done with that book. But I don't have any algebra books on my list today. Maybe that's good, since it's up to elementary school age. And I put them in basic categories, but we all know each child is an individual and they read at different levels. Their ability to read is at one level. What they can handle as far as a plot and story parts is another maturity level. And so we know that there's just no one set, these books are for third grade. I don't do that, because that's just asking for trouble. So now I'll think of something else I meant to tell you in a little bit, because I always forget something. But we'll get to moving on, because this is the children's list, and we're going to start with picture books, because I put them in these categories. And the first one I'm going to talk about is called The Book That Almost Rhymed. And I say Shades of Interrupting Chicken and Chester Van Chime Who Forgot How to Rhyme. These kind of blend together in this fun story. It centers on a big brother. He's creating a rhyming adventure story, and he's working hard to have the right words and the rhyme that he wants. And then his younger sister pops in and she shouts a different word that doesn't rhyme with his other word. And he's frustrated, but he's trying to be nice because he's an older brother. He lets her continue with the story, which includes a fire-breathing armadillo. According to her, that's what she came up with. He had a dragon. Then he has a realization. Her words rhyme with each other. They're not rhyming with his words. They're rhyming with her other words. Lots of fun. Readers and listeners could be encouraged to write a rhyming story and then try to sabotage it like his younger sister did to his story. But if you have had kids enjoying Interrupting Chicken and Chester Von Chime, then I think you'll enjoy this book too. Daniel and his grandpa go for a walk in the park. Grandpa asks him, "What's new?" And Daniel runs to the park to find out. His favorite rock is still there, and he tells it he can whistle. Then he sees the blackbirds are back. At the pond, a blackbird tells him, "Winter is over." And he sees some ducklings have hatched, and pollywogs are growing legs. New leaves are growing on trees. The snake has a new skin, and Daniel has lost a tooth. He runs back to tell Grandpa all that is new, and then he asks him, "What's new with you?" So a fun story about spring. Mom is, or I think it's a mom, I don't know, that individual, the adult there, is with the kid at their home. I'm going to call her Mom because I don't know what else to call her. Mom is ready to vacuum the rug when the boy tells her, "There's a storm coming, climb aboard." The rug has become the ocean, and soon both of them are avoiding sharks, raising sails, and swabbing the deck. Then the phone rings. The boy is now in the doldrums because Mom has to answer the phone. Then she finally hangs up and cries for help. The vacuum is a giant squid. Lots of adventure and then a strange light, and Father is asking, "What are you playing at?" In no time, the three of them are back on the ocean for more adventures. This is about using your imagination, having fun together, and family love and joy. Oh, Drew Daywalt. This book starts out fine. This is an apple, and it is. And apples go crunch, crunch, crunch. Fine. But then the next two-page spread goes off the rails. It knows that the flower on the page, yes, it is a flower, but then it says, flowers go chugga chugga choo choo. Well, that's not right. The bookmark on each of the pages is confused. Things continue to get worse. Finally, the bookmark tells the reader to ignore everything the book says. When the subjects of the pages make all the wrong noises, the bookmark decides if you can't beat them, join them, and he makes silly noises. It's silly fun, chaos, and order are sometimes opposites. And what other wacky combinations can the listeners create after they've heard this story? Loaf loves his boy, and when the boy leaves, wearing his shirt with dangling ribbons, Loaf follows because he likes those ribbons. His boy dances at the powwow, and Loaf jumps up on his shoulder when the dance is done. They are quite a hit. This is a continuing sort of series by Olivier Dunray. Pearl loves her pearls and wears them everywhere. When she swims, when she sings to the bees, naps on the haystack. But one day when she gets home, her pearls are missing. She retraces her steps around the farm, looks all along her path. No pearls. She's heartbroken. Then Ruby and Rufus dive into the pond. Guess what they found? Pearl is ecstatic. So this is about a treasure, losing a loved item, and joy at their recovery. Penelope Rex. This is the fourth book about Penelope. Penelope was surprised when her parents brought Mittens home. She had not thought about wanting a pet. She soon learned how challenging a 500-pound pet with 6-inch canine teeth can be. Penelope's bed was too small. Mittens wanted Penelope's breakfast instead of his own. We are not going to talk about the litter box. And even coming home was difficult. One day, in frustration, Penelope shouted, "Bad kitty, bad!" Mittens was devastated. Now what can she do? This is about pet care, adapting to others' needs, and apologizing. Crocodile must not be late for his job. He is a river fairy. No time for breakfast, he'll grab a donut at Hippo Hut. But they are out, and his emergency snack is a too-spoiled banana. With passengers waiting for him, he must go on his way with an empty stomach. Soon the passengers begin to look more and more like lunch. Keep an eye on the background. Hurrying after him is Hippo, arriving just in time with Croc's morning donuts. Phew, nobody but the donuts. This is so clever, but of course it's David La Rochelle. A boy, a girl, and the dog Rex are playing a game of go and get. First, they need to get something that starts with the letter F. The boy and the girl bring back expected things, a frog and a fish. Rex brought back a duck. Oops, that's not right. Wait, the duck is Rex's friend. Okay, F, that's good. And the game continues with Rex bringing back something that seems wrong, but turns out to meet the requirements. Kids will love the unexpected ways Rex plays the game, and they may want to play the game too, or make up some other things that he might bring back for a different letter. The yellow bus is first a school bus and is filled with joy each day. The children climb on board. And throughout this book, the bus is always the color page. The bus is always yellow, and if the kids are inside the bus, then they're in color too, and outside the bus, they're not. And one day, a new driver and the bus picked up elderly people and drove them to various places. And she was filled with joy because she has riders. Times continue to change and other things happen to the bus, and she is used in different ways. Where will she end up? Right off, we know Jack must write a note of apology to Zoe, but the teacher must approve it before he gives it to her. His third attempt is the title of the book, and he must try again. He is angry while working on the note as the other students have no trouble realizing it. Through the rejected notes, the reader or listener learns that Zoe's castle was knocked over, and then we begin to learn the reasons this happened. Finally, Jack has written an acceptable note, and Zoe replies with a thank you note. Maybe tomorrow they will build a castle together. But the illustrations of him trying to write this note and the red in his face and the red coming off of him is bad. And I've been mad like that in my life. So a second book by the same author is a completely different topic. As the child main character encounters friends and family who have lost a plant, a pet, or a family member, they learn that everyone grieves in their own way. Some want a card, some a joke, and others a hug. But for their friend whose grandmother died, they ask her, "Can you tell me what to do? I don't know how to help." She wasn't sure, so they figured it out together. And this is something kids grapple with because they don't know what to say to someone who's lost anything, like the plant to the pet to the grandmother.
Mhm.
A boy, his parents, and his younger sibling camp overnight and then climb up a dormant volcano in Oregon. Told in haiku from the boy's point of view, the day is unforgettable. The artwork gives a sense of the beauty of the scenery. It's enjoying nature, it's a family outing, and experiencing examples of haiku. A gentle story about Nelson, whose father is incarcerated. He is missing his father, and so he writes letters to him. The letters tell about what Nelson has been doing, his feelings and thoughts, and his growing anticipation for his father's return to his family. At the back of the book, it includes tips for writing letters to incarcerated loved ones, so that those who have this will get a better start at writing letters. It's something that has kind of been lacking in the children's department, is something about your person, whoever, a parent or an uncle or whoever might be incarcerated. This is so funny.
And Brandon Sanderson. I love it.
An ordinary boy sits in an ordinary chair. From the text, nothing at all happens. The boy sits in the chair. In the illustrations, it is amazing and scary and fun. It is a death-defying adventure with a flying dragon. But that's only in the illustrations, not in the text. It's a wonderful demonstration of what illustrations can do for a story, and it is hilarious. Publishers Weekly said, "In this world, words and pictures collide rather than collaborate, and the result is one wild ride," which I thought was a great way to put it. A girl and her daddy are up early, prepare the horses, and ride through the early morning city. She says, "A few people drive by. They point and smile and wave. Cowboys are famous around here. They make people happy." By the end of the jaunt, she thinks, "My daddy is a cowboy, and so am I." It is time for Lion and Penguin to go to sleep. Penguin is tired, but Lion wants a story. Every time Penguin falls asleep and is having a wonderful dream, Lion finds something to do that will wake him up. You see the drum set there, right? Such as playing the drums, eating noisy, crunchy chips, or jumping on his trampoline. Finally, Penguin tells Lion an abbreviated story, leaving out all of the details, and they both fall asleep with wonderful dreams. Penguin's words are in black and Lion's words are in blue. So this is about finding a compromise and understanding when somebody really needs something, because Lion wasn't quitting. Naveen has done only a little baking, but he has watched lots of baking shows on TV. He is sure he can create a masterpiece in his class at Baker Maker's Lab. After relying on instinct, his final results are not good. Other students offer consolation, but he is determined to try again. The next day, he follows the teacher's instructions and things are better, but there is still an issue. His cake crumbled. He comes up with a cake-saving solution. It includes a basic cake recipe in the back, along with Naveen's clever cake-saving idea. So it's about, you really do need to follow directions and not just think you can throw things together. And using creativity, not giving up. This is about the stickball game that the Cherokee people play and how it is important to their culture. In this, the kids are playing a game. Van is struggling with stickball. He stumbles, misses his shot, and worries he's not improving. He loves the game and hopes he can contribute to a win in their upcoming friendly social game against girls. Van catches the ball in his sticks and decides to pass it to his best friend Jesse, who manages to toss it and hit the fish atop the pole. 3 points, they win. The back pages tell a bit about the game and its importance to the Cherokee people. And this book is about trying your best, enjoying the game, and helping your team. And the author explains in the back that when you have the social games, the girls can have sticks or not have sticks, and they can grab the ball with their hands if they want to, but the boys, if they have the sticks, and they have to use their sticks to move the ball around. So it's just fun and also a celebration of their culture.
Nice.
I love this one. Ursula, a catfish, is happy swimming along in the river until another fish asked her why she was upside down. When she looked around, all the other fish were swimming differently, and her world was turned upside down, where you are directed to turn the book around.
Ah,
So, yes, he's at it again, this author.
interactive books. I love that. More interactive.
She didn't even know which way was up at that point. She accidentally flopped on the shore. Now she's in big trouble, but a friendly bat pushed her into the water. She noticed he was upside down too, hanging on the tree limb. But he says who? In the illustration are 3 other animals in the trees, also upside down. Then you turn the page again and see Ursula happily swimming away on her own. The author's note states that Ursula is an upside down catfish that lives in the Congo River basin. I had no idea these fish existed and that they swam upside down, but apparently they really do. Squirrel needed a best friend. One day they noticed a mushroom sitting on a log. His name is Pock. Maybe they will be the best friend. Slowly they begin to talk and share favorite things. Leaves falling, snow in winter. In spring, someone new comes along. Moo! Maybe a fly. I'm not sure what it is. They share more favorite things, and soon the squirrel has a dilemma. Which is their best friend, Pock or Moo? They are in great despair. Then along comes a mouse, Gunther. Then it took a while for anybody to say anything, because are they going to share their best things again? Finally, all 4 playing cards together is the better end to the book. You can have more than one best friend. I think it's a message. Cranky, a machine that hoists things, is feeling cranky. You know what doesn't help? Everyone asking you what's wrong. It's the day all the machines will finish the bridge, but Cranky is not excited about it. Something happened that he would rather not talk about. There are many ways to bug him today, but one thing helps. Zippy and Wheezy, his good friends, tell him, "Let us know when you're ready to talk." And that is the best thing they could have said. Sometimes we are just cranky. It happens. So this again is another book that's helping kids learn what can you say to someone that won't make them more cranky or things like that. Just let us know when you're ready to talk. The hens are all agog over the fact that local record holder Hare will be offering a marathon race in the area. They begin training to compete, but Chicken Little is not interested. Once Hare's book on running arrives, the hens abandon training and instead buy his smoothies and his headbands, because that'll help them win the race, right? Chicken Little says, "I know there are no shortcuts to tackling a huge challenge," and she trains. On race day, guess what happens? Well, I'm not going to tell you. It is evening, time to go home, and the dog and the cat travel together toward home. They each have their favorite stopping and/or crossing places, the one that suits them best. The dog loves crossing the stream, the cat not so much. Eventually, they reach home cozy and warm. Heading home is an adventure they share, from finding toads to awakening a bear. And this is the world from an animal's point of view. Now, some beginning readers. The first one's told in the first person. The main character is excited to join her mother on a research trip to the North Pole. She learns about the many scientists on board and a bit about what each of them do. The girl gets to help some of them with their projects. It is never mentioned in the text, but the girl used crutches to get around. The last page lists all the types of scientists the girl encounters, each with a one-sentence description of what they do. This is Bat, Cat, and Rat series, book 1. The 3 find a cozy home to move into. Cat claims the upstairs, Rat claimed the downstairs, and Bat claimed under the stairs. Each of them was happy. Rat keeps scaring Cat with a spider on a stick. Cat does not think it's funny. Bat eats the rubber spider, and Rat is disappointed. Later, Bat unhid the spider, thinking, "Joking is fun." Cat is cozy reading her book. Bat and Rat keep looking over her shoulder. She is grumpy until she learns that neither of them can read. She reads the book out loud and helps them begin to learn. And then there's a half story at the end. It's time for bed. They went together to share beds under the stair cubby and all went to sleep. Sharing is the best. It is said several times throughout the book. I thought it was really fun that they all went under the stairs to go to sleep. That was cozy.
Cozy under there.
This is an I Can Read Comics book. Chip is busy and he is not tired. He suggests Mom play the kid and go to bed so he can stay up to watch TV because that's his perception of what Mom does after he goes to bed. One being, Mom agrees, but she needs lots of things before she will go to sleep. One being the list of things she needs to get done before her usual bedtime. This is clever and fun. Chip gives his mom good care, does the chores, and then is too tired to really watch TV. Now, one of the chores was to pack lunches for the next day, and he put ice cream into a bag. And I have a feeling that's not going to be such a good lunch.
No.
But he did do the chore. Kids will enjoy Chip's situation and will also enjoy his relationship with his mom. Jory John has several books about beans and the cool bean. This one, the bean is enjoying the public pool with his inner tube and floaties. Then he sees the cool beans coming into the park. He wants to be like them. Maybe he should ride the super slide. That would be cool. When he gets to the top, though, his knees are shaking and he has butterflies in his stomach. It's just too high and too far. The cool beans arrive at the top of the slide and he worries they will make fun of him. But no, they are right there to be supportive and they will slide right behind him. It is easier with friends. So that's nice instead of giving him trouble because you climb up the ladder and yes, it looks completely different from the top than it did from the bottom.
Yeah.
I ran into the Fix-Its at the library. And that's the first one is Nail Needs Help. Nail is stuck partway in a piece of wood and cannot get all the way in or out. Hammer arrives and pounds in one, which only results in pain for the nail. The tools try a couple of other things that also do not work. The nail suggests they try his idea, and he asks Hammer to use his bunny ears. Oh, says the Hammer, with the help of the other tools to get Hammer upside down, the plan is a success. And the second one is Power Up with Power Drill. And these are both I Can Read comics. The tools in the toolbox are excited about the newest addition, Power Drill, but the drill is still charging, so the two screwdrivers and the hand drill leave him alone while beginning the day's work. When they are ready for a break, a boy says, "Hello, it is Power Drills," and the other tools go fan crazy for it. Power Drill finally runs out of power, and all the tools help carry him to his recharge station. They are friends all around. Nobody is better than anybody else. And I think this will be very popular because tools are a popular topic amongst youngsters. And here's another book about fish. This is book 4. Fish has a pebble collection. Well, she has one so far. She finds a new pebble to expand it and proudly announces that she has 2 pebbles. And then she hears, "Nope, you still have one." Her new one is a clam, not a pebble.
Oh.
That helps her find beautiful things in the ocean besides pebbles. And Fish agrees, a new friend is best. Snail Raleigh and his friends are watching a beautiful sunset when Firefly wakes up for his day, or actually night. Firefly tells him about the amazing moonflower, and they decide to go along to see it. Things are a bit more scary at night with different sounds. They get to the flower, but they fall asleep before it blooms because that's their sleeping time. No hard feelings. Maybe they can try again the next night. Some nonfiction picture books. This is a collection of photos and comments of and from children from around the world whose families need sanctuary. At the back are suggestions for helping children and their families feel welcome and appreciated. And you can see many different places that the people come from and their comments, the children's comments about how scary it was where they were and how they might have had to travel through several countries before they got to their final place. Good basic information in this picture book biography of the famous baseball player, noting his childhood in Puerto Rico and his love of baseball. Playing in the major leagues with the Pittsburgh Pirates began for him in 1955. He faced prejudice of his Black and Puerto Rican heritage and ridicule of his accent when speaking English. He played for Pittsburgh for 18 years, the team winning the World Series twice during that time. The illustrations are colorful and rather flowy, suggesting movement. The life cycle of a Douglas fir from seed to beyond its final fall. How the seed, then the sapling, then the tree survived things that could have ended it before its 1,000-year lifespan. And all the way it contributed to the survival of birds, insects, squirrels, and more. As it aged, it changed, lost branches, had more holes in its trunk, and even when it did fall and become a log, it still offered shelter to animals and provided food for insects and mushrooms, and a fine place for a new seed to land and grow. Beginning with 2/3 of the world is covered with oceans, only 5% have been explored. The author then goes back in history to introduce the reader to methods people used to harvest items and explore the sea, back to free diving to collect sponges and other things. The effects of diving on the human body is noted and what we can do to avoid it. The equipment that was developed throughout time and the sea creatures the divers found added to our knowledge of the ocean. It includes an author's note, a glossary, and some fun facts at the back of the book. This is amazing, and it connects to a book I'm going to talk about in the fiction section. So it's good brief information on the leafcutter ants and how their colony functions, and I love how they show under the ground where the different sections of their nest is. The back of the book includes more information, a bibliography, and a brief note from the author. Kirkus says, a fascinating introduction to an amazing insect. A picture book biography of Marie Curie, born in Poland in 1867, her remarkable life is summarized for young readers and listeners. She was the first woman to receive a doctorate in France, the first woman to receive a Nobel Prize, and then the first person to receive 2 Nobel Prizes. She's a role model for youth even today as she pursued knowledge and worked to benefit mankind. That was her goal. And I had never heard of Clarence Tinker before, but this is the first Native American Major General. Oh. He never let go or forgot where he came from, always Osage, even though he was sent to a school where they were trying to eradicate all of his knowledge of his people. He kept it in his head and in his heart. He overcame obstacles to join the U.S. Army, later learned to fly, and he was named a Major General. He was killed in the battle, I can't remember, the Battle of Midway, I think it was. It includes an author's note and a timeline at the back. Some early chapter books. Henry and his class are going to the museum. He wants to see the dinosaurs. He did think about staying at school where things would be more predictable because that's what he likes, but the dinosaurs won out. His group saw rocks, even moon rocks, bugs in the bug room, mummies, then they had the bathroom, then finally dinosaurs. Following rules is important to Henry, so that's what he does. And letting others have their turn, so that's why they didn't get to the dinosaurs right away. But also seeing something new was great fun. There are 2 books about Rika Baptista. This is the first one of the series. Rika accidentally overheard her best friend Lena's parents talking, and now it looks like they plan to move away. Now Rika needs a pet to fill the gap that will be left. What kind of pet, though? And how will she make money in order to take care of it? A good friend, Lena, helps her with these issues without knowing why Rika so badly wants a pet. Rika doesn't want to break the news to her. The bookstore is holding a poetry contest, but while Rika writes a lot of poetry, she hardly ever lets anyone read it. No, that's a no for Rika. But it's about best friends supporting each other, taking a scary step by sharing her poetry. And Rika keeps a prayer journal where she shares her concerns and her thanks with God. So I think readers will enjoy that too. Book 2, usually Rika spends Adventure Week. This is a week in the summer at Grandpa's house, and they have so much fun. They go places, see things, do things. But this year he needs to stay with Rika's family since he twisted his ankle and he's on crutches. This changes everything. Or does it? Rika, her best friend Lena, and Grampy brainstorm some things they can do and enjoy for their renamed Stayventure Week instead of Adventure Week. One day is a day of cartoons, cards, and candy, except they need a way to buy some candy. It is not on Rika's mom's grocery list. Another thing they decide to do is a talent show, and they have a day of knock-knock jokes. which can wear you down pretty fast, and a visit to the new part of the city park. They push Grampy in an office chair, which was not a good plan. And they get a family story from Grampy instead. While at first it seems like Adventure Week was ruined, it turned out to be a lot of fun by being inventive. This is Tater Tales Book 1. Rot wakes up feeling good, maybe great, maybe the greatest in the world. His older brother Snot challenges him to a contest to prove who is the greatest. Who will be the judge? Their younger sister, Tot. 5 chapters share the story of Rot and Snot's efforts in the contest. First, a potato sack race. That makes sense, right? Next, a race down Hot Potato Hill to catch Tot. Last, a laughing contest. Who was the winner of these contests? It turns out it's Tot. She did the best of all of them. This is about fair play, doing your best, and recognizing the winner. Well, this is Kate
said that was book 1. Does that mean there's more of them, or there will be more of them?
I believe there's going to be more,
Ah.
but I don't have evidence of that yet. If you say book 1, I'm expecting another.
Yeah, if you're going to start out labeling that to start with, there better be more coming, yeah.
This is book 1 in a new series. Horace, a rat, lived in an abandoned barn. He was happy there. One of his prized possessions was an old sardine can. It had a picture of a sardine king on the can, and the king said, "Make the good and noble choice." He contemplated this advice regularly and took it to heart. One evening, Horace hears a horrible screech and a cry for help. He looks out from his nest to see a young owl caught in a mousetrap. The rat is not planning on helping his natural enemy until he recalls the sardine king's advice. Slowly, he moves toward the owl, asking him to stand completely still. After he frees him, Horace cowers in fear and creeps back to his nest. But rather than prey, the owl, Timble, thinks of Horace as a friend. Horace tells Timble the fable of the lion and the mouse, and soon they plan to meet every evening for stories. A marvelous introduction to the 2 main characters and the wonders of storytelling. Can't wait for book 2. There's going to be. This poor kid. Oh, by the way, I was going to say make the good and noble choice could show up in future books of that series, Horace and Timble. This is a full-color graphic novel. There are 3 stories about Quinn and his incredibly bad luck. He takes his biggie fries to the beach, runs from the seagulls, trips and loses his fries, and then is hit by a rogue wave. That's just going to the beach. He makes a plan to pull his loose tooth, and that goes all wrong. And then he goes fishing with his friend Jose, and the fish he caught pulls him through the air and across the pond into a hornet's nest and beyond. Still, he continues to have a positive attitude. You got to admire someone who can stick with positivity after all of this unfortunate stuff happens to him. His family's pretty used to it. Those things don't happen to any of them. This is book 2 about Shermie and Shake. While they were friends over the summer, Shermie is not happy that Shake has joined his class at school. Shake is well liked, and Shermie feels his chance at being a good new kid buddy was spoiled because Shake was already welcome to the class. Adjusting to this new situation takes time, but Shermie's stellar Grandpa Gordy helps them both get over the issues. This is hilarious. Bunny and Clyde are best friends, and one day they decide they are tired of being good. They want to be bad, but they don't know how, so they go to the library. After some trouble, they find a few books that might help. The Tale of Two Bad Mice, that could happen, Interrupting Chicken, and Bad Kitty. They try hard to be bad, but their actions are barely a blip on the radar. They are barely being bad at all, and still I think, we can be bad. This is the kids in Mrs. Z's class, book 1. Emma is starting 3rd grade at a new school, Curiosity Academy. She is happy to be starting over after the bad thing that happened at her last school. Then another new student arrives. It is Lucy from her old school and her former best friend. Her secret is no longer safe. So she works hard to appeal to others in the class, her maybe friends. But the class is focused on choosing a school mascot, and there are definite supporters of one animal or another, and they're not very interested in what Emma is trying to do. This is book 1 of a projected series of 18, so they're going to hit every kid in the class, and there's going to be a different author for each book. It's predicted. So we'll see. Fiction for grades 2 to 5 or so, roughly that age group. Charlotte, whose grandmother Donna calls Lottie, is almost as obsessed with the local legend as her grandmother is. Donna has spent much of her life trying to see and verify that Dottie, a sea serpent, lives in the nearby Dorothy Lake. Charlotte receives a drone from her mother for her 14th birthday. The first thing she does is go to the lake with her grandma and her best friend Scott. They are amazed that they got a pretty good recording of Dottie on the lake. Details are not good because the drone was rather far from the creature, but Charlotte's mom thinks it's a log. Charlotte posts her video online and sends it to the local TV station. After a reporter interviews the three of them, there are lots of boats on the lake for the next day. That could be dangerous for Dottie. Does Dottie really exist? Will they ever get a good view of Dottie? And what should they do to protect her from the large number of people? These are issues that are brought up in the book. Max Lightning has finally qualified for Gamerville, the championship level determining who will be named top player in the video game Lone Wolf of Calamity Bay. His parents, though, have decided to send him to Camp Reset instead. No electronics, and campers are forced to experience fresh outdoor air, good wholesome activities, and eat healthy foods. This just sounds horrible. Max is stuck until he finds some support among his fellow campers. The championship event is going to be just across the lake. Maybe he can slip out and join the game. Oh, and this is a graphic novel, complete graphic novel, full color. It is 1879, and Letty's family is joining a wagon train to travel from Mississippi to Nebraska to homestead. Told in free verse from three different perspectives, Letty, her mother Sylvia, and new teacher Philomena each have their own takes on the journey and its toll. Hardship, loss, and tragedies are faced and overcome, not always easily. Talk of their new freedom and how life in Mississippi shows that not much will change. It's going after what you want and need, helping each other as you can, and becoming aware of the strength inside you. Those who like lock boxes and lock rooms, this is a book about a house. Sarah's the narrator. Wes and Hannah, the three of them, are a team that loves to solve escape rooms. Sarah's father has chronic fatigue syndrome. He's unable to work, and the family is about to lose their house to foreclosure. When she hears about an abandoned funhouse built in the 50s with a possible treasure to the winners, she asks her friends to join her in solving the mystery. They are game, but once inside, they think of a few things too late. This is potentially a dangerous abandoned building. No one is monitoring their progress, and they cannot use their phone to call for help. Still, they progress through the house. The puzzle solving is truly challenging. Drawbacks occur regularly, but they are enticed forward in order to help Sarah's family. Escape room enthusiasts will keep reading to see what the next puzzles are and if they can be solved. School Library Journal says, with highly likable characters, authentic dialogue, and tension-building action, this exciting and engaging story will grab the attention of many readers who will not put it down until the end. I hope they don't go into any abandoned buildings and try and solve puzzles, though. Ferris, Emma Phineas Wilkie, is named for the amusement ride under which she was born, and she has an eventful summer before 5th grade. Ferris's younger sister, Pinky, is 6, and she is determined to be an outlaw and have a wanted poster about herself. She will try to rob the bank, and she does try to rob the bank. Ferris's beloved Cherise, her grandmother, is feeling ill and now has a ghost in her room. Her uncle Ted is now living in her family's basement since a sudden realization that he must paint the history of the world. How would you do that? Aunt Shirley is not impressed. Her best friend since kindergarten, Billy Jackson, is playing the same song over and over again on the piano. Ferris does her best to support her family, and she is intrigued by Cherise's declaration that every good story is a love story. You know, most of all of this I just told you by page 10, so there's a lot more going on in the book. This was wonderful. In 1939, Max, who's 11, is sent out of Germany on the Kindertransport by his parents, though he did not want to leave. Along with him came a kobold and a dybbuk. Those are immortal creatures who seem to talk all the time, though only Max can hear them. He is placed in London with a well-to-do Jewish family because, of course, he is Jewish. Max applies himself to training with the goal of becoming the youngest British spy in Germany. He wants to go back to check on his folks and find out how they're doing, where they are. He is clever and determined. Readers will be rooting for him. This book has a lot of humor that somehow fits in well with a serious topic. The school bullies in England are surprised by Max's ability at getting away from their contempt. But he notes to another, this was his life in Germany. He has had a lot of practice doing this. It's a cliffhanger, I gotta tell you. Book 2 is titled Max in the Land of Lies, and it is out on February 25th, 2025. So still time to wait for that one. Here's the ant story that the picture book nonfiction went with. It's a full color graphic novel. Ruby, a self-described cartoon ant, invites the reader into the anthill of leafcutter ants. They are very busy and never reply to anything she says, except to say that she's a nuisance. One day an ant does reply and seems confused about what is going on. Over time, Ruby discovers that she is talking to a phorid who is zombified and took over the ant's body, which is a really scary thing for an ant. But they have a lot of adventures together, and that includes plenty of information about the jungle ecosystem as told in an interesting way. Danger everywhere, horrible predators of ants everywhere, more than they can face is horrendous. Crazy combination of facts and humor and danger, and it really works. Felix, 10, sees a little man taking pennies out of the wishing fountain. That's not right. But it turns out the man claims he is invisible and the pennies are his pay. He is the wish keeper of the town. And now Felix is its apprentice. Can they complete the backlog of wishes and also defeat the scary creature who is trying to negate all of those wishes? It's really scary looking. This is beautiful, even though it's mostly brown and white. It's a graphic novel in brown tones. A girl takes her dog Pepper for a walk, and he pulls the leash away from her and runs under a gate to chase a fox. Soon they lose the fox, but are now enthralled by the wilderness they find around them. They encounter a boy who helps by cajoling Pepper and getting a hold of his leash. When the girl and dog return home, she finds her mother is asleep on the couch. Her mother is still very much missing, her mother who has passed. The girl and Pepper continue to visit the woods, exploring nature and seeing the boy. Finally, one day, her mother joins them. Being in the woods is cathartic and begins the healing process for their loss. This is a full-color graphic novel. No, that's not. Wait a minute, what happened to the Night Librarian? I don't have the picture here, I'm sorry. The Night Librarian is a full-color graphic novel. Twins Page and Turner know about the magic a library holds, and they've been going to their beloved New York City Public Library for years, especially since their parents are always traveling for work. But a secret mission involving their dad's rare and valuable edition of Bram Stoker's Dracula uncovers a world they have never known, featuring mysterious night librarian, famous heroes and villains that have broken free from the classic books, and an epic battle to save the library from total destruction. Yeah, just to see how much you can see of this. This is the Night Librarian. And I
You happen to have it sitting right next to you. How convenient.
Convenient. It's like a plan. Okay, now we'll go to The Secret Library. Dally's days are dull since her grandpa died, and she's restricted. She's 11 and a half years old, and her exacting single mother is already preparing for her to take over the family business. Starved for adventure and release, Dally rescues a mysterious envelope from her mother's clutches. It was something Grandpa had left for her. The map she finds inside leads straight to an ancient vault, a library of secrets where each book is a portal to a precise moment in time. As Dally checks out adventure after adventure, including an exhilarating outing with pirates, she begins to dive deep into her family's hidden history. Soon she's visiting every day to escape the demands of the present, because she's 11 and a half, come on. The library has secrets of its own and intentions that would shape her life as surely as her mother's meticulous plans. What will Dally choose? It's equal part mystery and adventure, with a biracial child puzzling out her identity alongside the legacy of the past. This masterful middle-grade fantasy has plot twists and incredible world building. And you feel for her and her kind of trapped in with the business of the family so strongly presented by her mother. This is another quick book like Dottie the Sea Monster was. Zevi is 13. He's Jewish, and he has hints at times when things aren't right. He gets these feelings. Sometimes he sees kind of a black fog over somebody. He wants to be famous as an actor, but when the famous Robert Lemon comes to town to film part of a movie there, Zevi sees a cloud on him, and that indicates things are not right. He is in danger. After a couple of close calls, the press find out that Zevi has this ability, and now he can't be an extra in the movie because everybody will know about him and they'll be looking for him in the movie instead of him just being a character. Zevi and his best friend Nir are determined to find out who is causing these dangerous situations. School Library Journal says this high-low title excels in the genre, packaging an accessible, dyslexia-friendly text with a compelling plot and likable protagonist whose journey readers will happily follow. Highly recommended. As a wheelchair user, Jerry, 11, is irritated by a number of inconvenient things. Narrow doorways, stairs, clusters of people, etc. But now she and her mom have moved to another motel where they've been hopping from place to place. But this one has wide enough doorways and hallways, and it has Chapel, a girl about her age who wants to spend time with her. Jerry's mom keeps vanishing to do special work that she refuses to discuss. When her mother doesn't come home one morning, Jerry springs into action, along with Chapel and Paul, a pocket-sized imaginary dragon. Going off into the woods may be the worst decision they could make, but they must find Jerry's mother. And the imaginary dragon isn't so imaginary. Just saying. Whoops.
Of course.
Graphic novel in purples and orange, as you can see. Anzu, of Japanese heritage, is lost in the realm of Yomi after a strange dog grabbed her necklace off her neck. Yomi is the Shinto underworld, and Anzu must leave soon or she will be trapped there forever. She encounters the queen of Yomi, Izanami, who will guide her to the marsh gate after they join a banquet. Anzu is too rattled to eat, but the queen keeps pushing it. The stray dog, the gatekeeper of Yomi, appears and knocks away the food Anzu was about to eat. Anzu learns that the queen has captured some souls of children who need to be free to move on. The gatekeeper and Anzu work together to try to free the children and get Anzu home safely as well. So this is mythology, learning more about your own mythology, finding where you belong, and helping others. Full color graphic novel, Darcy, 11, and her mom have moved to a new country. Darcy is missing her friends and having trouble adjusting to so much change. While on an errand, she runs across the Happy Shop and she goes in. She finds bottles with a glowing orb inside each one. It turns out that each one is a happy feeling captured in that moment and bottled for someone to buy, open the jar, and feel the feeling. Maybe you're a little down about something and you need a happy feeling to help you come back out of it. She ends up working for the sisters who own the shop after she accidentally broke a couple of jars. This sends her on a journey to discover more about the variety of feelings people have and what can trigger them. Well written with empathy for others, Darcy finds new friends and a place to be. Fern's 12, and she is thrilled that Dr. Ben has selected her for a special early, over 2 years early, rite of passage for becoming a full member of the community. Her mother packs her up in the middle of the night and frantically drives her across the country to a small town in California. Her mother has obviously been planning this for months. Fern is puzzled and wants to go home to the ranch, the only home she remembers. Why did they leave? What about her special rite? How could Dr. Ben be wrong? Why is her mother calling her Frankie instead of Fern? She comes up with a plan to be rescued from California with her mother and return to the ranch, though she is beginning to enjoy having some new friends and some freedoms that she is encountering for the first time. Will her plan work? And what might happen if Dr. Ben actually arrives? Pretty scary. This is a beautiful story. It's told in free verse. Ariel and Toma have lived in the city's intertribal housing complex all their lives. But for both of them, this autumn season is different than any other before. Ariel's aunt has disappeared and the family continues to try to find out what happened to her. Ariel will leave ballet and now jingle dance for her aunt. From his bench outside the front door of his building, Toma watches the community move around him. He is better at making people laugh than he is at schoolwork, but often feels but often it feels like his neighbor Ariel is the only one who really sees him, even in her sadness. And Toma has trouble reading. As Kirkus says, the power of community comes through, a captivating, exquisitely penned story of hope and survival, and it got 4-starred reviews.
Wow.
This is a combo of novel and full-color graphic novel. It's kind of interesting how they put that together. Tyler Goodman is 12, and he has qualified for the Speed Cubing National Championships in Las Vegas. But they aren't able to go until the retailer Cube Mania offers him one of their coveted all-expenses-paid sponsorships. Once there, he encounters some of the hundreds of speed cubers from around the country. Each has confidence and skill. Tyler is more about enjoying the experience. Nothing ruthless about him. He just thinks it's lucky to be there. Will anyone cheat? Can one cheat with cubes? Who will crack under pressure? And who will win? This is a redone version of this book that came out a few years ago. And now it's full color art. It was black and white art before. Owlie has made many friends in the forest since the first book, where everyone was afraid of him, particularly Wormy, who became his first friend, and the group has grown since then. There are 9 standalone stories from previous books, and the tie-in is the animals are looking at Owlie's photo album, so they remember these stories. Sweet stories with a nice touch. The animals speak in word pictures. There is text too, but the pictures convey what they are saying, so young readers can decipher it. Owlie, Flying Lessons book number 3, won the Best Title for Young Readers Eisner Award in 2006. So this is a fun book with full color art. Melanie, Mel Roberts, and Ray Half Moon may be from different indigenous nations, but the friends have become like siblings since the Robertses moved in with the Half Moons, and they soon welcome a distinguished guest, great-grandfather Bat, whose wing is injured. He has taken refuge in their old oak tree. A rematch of the legendary Great Ball Game is coming up, with Bat as the star player. Grandpa Charlie Half Moon offers to drive Bat from Chicago down to the traditional playing field outside Macon, Georgia, and Mel and Ray are coming along. Together, they all set off on a road trip facing adventure, danger, and a hair-raising mystery on the way to the historic game. So this is based on historical stories of the particular nations that are in the author is a member of, and some of the characters are in the story. This is book 3 of the Legends of Lotus Island. 2 weeks off to celebrate the new year, Plum and a few friends who have too far to travel home for the break have been invited to spend the time at Sam's family home on Nacon Island. So much to see and do, but then a few strange things occur. There have always been tremors on the island, but now they are getting much worse. Then there are indications that Counselor Urine and maybe Lady Ubon are up to no good. What can the Guardians do? And they do work together and pull together to find out what's actually happening. This is Stein Tingler's 2. There are 10 more stories to make you shiver, from a bad birthday party to getting lost at the zoo. Something creepy is coming your way. Each story is prefaced with the memory of the authors that he says inspired the tale. This is a full-color graphic novel, and it's semi-autobiographical. Cecil, 12, is in 7th grade at a new middle school, and no one from his former elementary school is there. He has no friends, knows nobody at the new school. He is anxious about making friends because he doesn't know where he'll fit in. His older sister, Leah, tells him he should befriend the other black kids at the school because that's a good place to start. But he isn't sure how to go about doing that. How do you just walk up to somebody and start talking to them? That isn't easy. He wants to be known for his comic making talent anyway, but the few kids who are impressed by Cecil's art aren't always nice to him. When one of his drawings is misused and gets him into serious trouble, can Cecil stand up for himself and figure out who his real friends are? He's going to need to do that. This is creepy. Of course, I'm easily creeped out. Remember, I scare easily. This takes place in Minneapolis. Violet, 11, and her family have just moved to a fixer-upper home while Violet begins 6th grade, which is a move to middle school too. And then Violet sees her new room. The attic bedroom in their new house is shadowy, creaky, and wrapped up in old yellow wallpaper covered with a faded tangle of twisting vines and sickly flowers. And then after moving in, Violet falls ill and does not get better. As days turn into weeks without any improvement, her family is growing more confused about her illness, and her friends are beginning to wonder if she's really sick at all. She finds herself spending more time alone in the room with the yellow wallpaper, the shadows moving in the corners, and soon she begins to suspect that she's not alone in the room at all. Something else is there. It's spooky. The ongoing illness that's hard to diagnose is an issue in this book, and she has some friendship issues. Weirdly,
I just want to jump in to let people know we are a little after 11 o'clock, of course. Officially, our show goes 10 to 11 a.m. Central Time, but I know Sally has a few more books to go through, and usually her book review shows like this run long, as she warned you in the beginning. There's a lot of good books out there, and so if you need to step away because you only allotted an hour for the session, no problem. For the webinar, we're recording the whole show, so you'll be able to come back and watch the rest of it later. And of course, Sally's handouts and of all the titles and these slides will be available as well with the recording. So please stick with us for the rest of the show if you can. If not, you can watch the recording later. Just want to let everyone know.
Thank you. I hadn't even looked at the clock.
Yeah, no, we're good.
Weirdly, Walter is great. On Walter's first day of 5th grade, he impresses the entire Apple Grove Performing Arts Academy with hilarious impersonations during the morning announcements, which he kind of took upon himself to do because the microphone was there and the announcement page was there, and why not? He is soon encouraged to try out for the school musical. This is the first time Walter is not traveling with his musical father and instead is staying with his grandfather so he can go to the school. It isn't until a school bully points out why Walter was left behind that Walter realizes the truth. Can he handle it? Why is his father not with him, or he's not with his father? And it's because he's in treatment. His father is in treatment for alcoholism. Another first book of new series. The title is A Royal Conundrum. Yes, I think it's the title of the book is The Misfits because it's so big. But the actual title is A Royal Conundrum. And Misfits is the name of the series. This is book 1, as I said. Olive Zhang, almost 12, doesn't really fit in at school, with friends, or even with her mom and dad. They are always gone on a trip for work and seem not to really notice her. This time, before they leave again, they put her in a boarding school located on an island in San Francisco Bay. When she arrives at Rosh Reforming Arts School, she undergoes an unusual set of tasks as an aptitude test for placement in the school. Once placed with Pod 101, who later renamed themselves the Misfits, she is surprised at how quickly the group of 5 bonds. They are hastily put into training to prepare them to be a contributing group for a secret crime-fighting organization. Soon the existence of the school, the first one where Olive feels connected and appreciated, is on the line. Can the Misfits help capture a jewel thief? Will they help or hinder the effort? As Kirkus says, a fantastical blend of quirky characters and goofy adventures. It includes occasional black and white drawings by Dan Santat. This is the first book of a new series aimed at grades 3 to 6 or so. I think that was from my blurb on Friday Reads. Okay, excuse me. Nonfiction for grades 2 to 5 or so. Remember the book about the tree? Well, this is a book about the life of a blue whale. He had lived 90 years, and mostly on how it finally died, and it provides food and shelter to many creatures on its way to the ocean floor, and again after it settles on the bottom of the sea. There's lots of information paired with amazing art by Jason Chin. The author presents and explains the different phases of the whale fall. The total time of this whale fall ecosystem is more than 100 years. Additional information is found on the back pages, including more information on blue whales, the 4 phases of a whale fall listed on a 2-page spread, and a brief biography. And I knew that whales are an important part of negating the issues we have with the, what's the word I want? With the, sorry. Anyway, it'll come to me. Additional information is found on the back. Oh yeah, and a brief bibliography. something or other. Sorry. This is a full color graphic novel based on his textbook that he had written a number of years ago. An honest and evocative account of a family's journey from Mexico to the fields of California and to a life of backbreaking work and constant household moves, as seen through the eyes of a boy who longs for education and the right to call one place home. This is Francisco Jimenez's award-winning memoir, turned into a graphic memoir. It's a powerful story of survival, faith, and hope.
Nice.
Full of photographs, both in color and black and white, of buildings, people, animals, and the landscape of Antarctica. It also includes illustrations by Corbin Wilkins, as you can see on the cover here, photos and illustrations. Neary shares anecdotes about people and Antarctica, as well as how things are run and what it's like to be there. He said, "It feels like setting foot on the moon," about landing in Antarctica. He applied for an artist and writer's grant from the National Science Foundation to go there. As a child, he wanted to be an explorer, but he wasn't so good with science. Fun, funny, amazing. It gives a feel for living and working there. And there is lots of information in the back of the book. The award on the cover of this book you can see there is the New Voices Honor Award from Lee and Low Books. This introduces 15 athletes who use adaptive equipment to participate in their sport. These individuals have won medals, set world records, and more. You can find out about 15 adventures by looking through this book. As a boy, David Attenborough enjoyed exploring the wild places near his home. As an adult, he got a job in television, and he had an idea for a new type of show: travel and visit wildlife in their natural habitats. This gives a sense of his awe of the world and the creatures who inhabit it. It's a picture book biography for everyone. It's hard to imagine that he came up with this idea in like 1955, I think it said.
Wow.
This book kind of straddles the two age groups, so you put it where it best fits your collection, as you should always do with the things I recommend. Put it where it belongs in your collection. This discusses 13 animals, 14 if you count humans, each on their own 2-page spread, including hagfish, pistol shrimp, fulmar birds, and assassin bugs. A thoroughly engaging, fact-filled book with audacious and memorable animal responses to predators, says School Library Journal. But it tells you what they do. One of them squirts blood. Others do worse things. Never mind. Anyway, on another, here's where Animal Climate Heroes. This is by the author of Rhinos in Nebraska, and it focuses on 4 animals that help prevent climate change. That's the thing I was trying to talk about, the whale fall.
Ah, the whale, yes, yes.
That's just right here. The author explains who they are and what they do and how that affects climate change. Great whales, forest elephants, sea otters, and short-beaked echidnas are the 4 animals that they talk about in this book and how they make this difference. The whale fall is about bringing the carbon from the surface down to the bottom of the ocean, so it's not up there causing trouble in the air, because it's coming with the whale down to the bottom of the ocean for 100 years. And it's also feeding the animals there the carbon that they need, because they can't get it very well. And it's a fascinating amount of information in this book. And Jane Yolen has 145 poems that she has written, all collected together for the first time. Some have appeared before in other collections, and those are marked with the title of that other collection. It's divided into topics such as at home, or animals, school, after school, and such. Here's one poem that's in there titled Not Fair. He sprang an English test on us, or maybe it was spring. Perhaps he sprung it on us all. It was a nasty thing. There's also pot-bellied pig. Little or big, it's still a pig. And thank you, but I do have a few series titles because I've gone over time already. Let's just keep moving. A few beginning readers. Yasmin, the astronaut, she is excited to visit the Space Center. She wants to be an astronaut, but after the simulated space shuttle ride, a sample of taking off with noises in a rocking seat, she rethinks this idea. Then she learns mission control is more in her line of work. I mean, it takes a team to explore space, right? Ty's travels. Ty finds lots to do at school, and then he sees a drum set near some instruments. It wants to be played. He sits down and in his imagination gives a show to the other students. Then he finds his friends, and together they play. Ty on drums, Jazz on the keyboard, and Ari on the guitar. More friends join in. This time the classroom applauds. It is not imaginary. The sixth book about Fox. Here he meets another fox, and they learn that they can both do the same things, but neither of them can fly. As they fall, they wonder if they can swim. Yes, they can. Short sentences with repeated words, but plenty of story. This makes a good choice for very early readers. Early chapter books. A few more about Anna Hibiscus. Anna Hibiscus travels to Canada to visit her grandmother. That's the Merry Christmas one. Everything is different. No other family members are there like at home in Nigeria. It is cold. And a dog lives in the house with Granny Canada. A dog. What? She makes some friends, learns how to sled, and she learns she loves her Granny Canada and the dog too. And then the second book is when she comes back to Nigeria. She's welcomed home to the compound. She loves seeing her extended family again, but it is a little different than before she left. Grandfather looks smaller and weaker, and everyone is so noisy. Still, home soon becomes home again. Everyone is out looking for Mercy Watson. Where can she be? They are just devastated. What happened? The reader knows. The reader has been following her on an adventure. This is book 4 about Plum. 5 pea chicks have been born, and Plum is assigned to watch over them. They are hard to corral, and one in particular is always wandering away. What will Plum do when the chick goes missing? Going to be in big trouble. And then one early nonfiction. This is from the Ordinary People Change the World series, a biography of Ruth Bader Ginsburg conveying her actions and philosophy. And her philosophy noted in here is, fight for the things you care about, but do it in a way that will lead others to join you. This first quote. And then, because I can, there's one book I missed. I felt so bad, so I just tacked it on the end here. Sophie is 11. Well, one Sophie's 11, the other one's 88. And they are best friends. They're both named Sophie. But one is in a little trouble of late. She's elderly, sure, but she's always been on her game. The best friend any girl struggling to fit in could find. Now the elder Sophie is having memory problems. She's burning tea kettles and forgetting just about everything. Her son may take her away from 11-year-old Sophie. They live across the street from each other, I believe it is. But then 3 stories from elderly Sophie are a doorway to her past, one each about the items mentioned, tree, table, book. The young Sophie had told her, here's these 3 words, try to remember them, and I'm going to ask you what they are in about 10 minutes. And then she gets these stories about tree, table, and book. I thought it was an amazing story. Perkins said it's really written more for adults than for kids, so I'm an adult sometimes. Maybe they're right, but I thought it was a wonderful story about this friendship and how devastated the young Sophie is feeling about losing her connection with the older Sophie. But they come up with a solution for that by the end of it. They'll be happy to know. And now really I say thank you again. And thanks for those who stuck with it, thank you. And those who came back to hear the rest, thank you. And if you have any questions, the thing I forgot to mention was, if you have any experience with any of these books I've been talking about, so please let us know, because I read them. I sometimes talk about them with my great nephew or great nieces, but I don't have a whole lot of child contact anymore. So.
Yeah, and that's something too. Also, this is, even though we went a little over, that's fine. We always do, but this is not every book that was published, of course. This is just the ones, there's so many so your favorite book might not be on the list. So I might not have mentioned it, but she, just had to pick and choose the ones that she thought were good ones for all sorts of various reasons that were published over the last year. Yeah. All right, so thank you so much. I always like these sessions too. This one being right before the holidays, it's always good to get ideas for us. So I know the purpose of us doing this really is that books you might want to put in your library, but good for holiday gifts as well. If you have any young children in your life that you need to get something for, this is give you some good ideas possibly. All right, so thank you, everyone. It looks like everyone stuck around. That's great. Awesome. So glad that you're all here. Thank you so much, Sally. I am going to pull presenter control back to my screen. So, thank you. Have a great day. People are saying thank you, everyone. Yeah. As I said, this show's been recorded, so you'll have the whole thing available to watch later. I'm going to go to our main NCompass Live page. These are upcoming shows that we have. In a few weeks, we're taking off. Our archives are right here at the bottom of the page. The most recent one will be at the top. By the end of the day tomorrow at the latest, the recording should be ready for you all if anyone wants to rewatch it. Everyone who attended today's show and registered for today's show will get an email from me letting you know it's available. We'll have a link, we'll have the session page up here, a link to the handouts, and a link to the slides. So if you'd like to look through those book covers that are available to you. And you can see here, if you're looking for other book lists, on November 6th, Sally did the, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, the Summer Reading Program 2025 Color Our World session. So if you're looking for books for next year's Summer Reading Program, here is the recording, slides, and link to the handouts page for that. Today's show will be the same thing, just the recording for today's show and the slides from today's session. Sally will be back with us on January 8th, which will be our first show for 2025, to talk about our best new teen reads of 2024. So as I said, if you deal with middle and high school level children in your library, this would be a show for you to watch as well. As I said, her companion show to today's. We do have a Facebook page, as you can see here, for NCompass Live. If you'd like to use Facebook, give us a like. We do updates and reminders about the show. Here's a reminder to log into today's show, meet the speaker. Here's when I posted about the recording being available, so we do post that as well. We use a hashtag NCompLive. We also have a Twitter and Instagram account for the Nebraska Library Commission that we use as well to promote about the show. So if you want to learn more about the show, keep up on what's going, you can go there. Next week's show will be our last show of 2024. As you can see here, we are taking a couple weeks off. Our show is on Wednesdays always, and the last 2 Wednesdays of the year happen to be holidays, December 25th obviously being Christmas, and then January 1st being New Year's Day. And as a state agency, we are closed those days because those are federal holidays, and we're closed all the federal holidays. So I've just decided to take those 2 weeks off. So we'll have a couple of weeks that we don't have an NCompass Live show for the holidays. We'll be back on January 8th for Best of Teen Reads. Next week, we'll be talking about fostering healthy communication in your library. Jennifer Chamberlain, who's the library director at Norfolk, Nebraska's public library, will be with us to talk about that. This is a session that she did at our Nebraska Library Association annual conference in October and got really good reviews of it and people talking good things about it. So I wanted to share that here. So please do sign up for that show. And you see we do have some of our other January dates getting filled in here as well. If you're a big, Pretty Sweet Tech watcher, a person who keeps up with that, since the last Wednesday of the month we don't have a show, we're skipping Pretty Sweet Tech this month. Amanda Sweet will be back at the end of January for her next Pretty Sweet Tech session. So if you do keep up with her shows, that's what's happening with NCompass Live. And we got lots of thank yous coming in, Sally. Thanks, great resources. And one last thing I do want to mention, there's a very last minute thing here. In addition to doing this weekly show, we here at the Library Commission host the Big Talk from Small Libraries online conference. It is an annual conference where all of our presenters are from libraries with an FTE or population served of 10,000 or less. So this is the library, the little libraries. It is always the last Friday in February, so it's coming up on February 28th, and the call for speakers closes this Friday. So you have just a couple more days now to submit a proposal for us to see if you may want to present at the conference. So if you are interested, please submit a proposal. It closes at the end of the day on Friday, like midnight or something. And Or if you know someone who you think is doing some cool things at their small rural library, send this information off to them. Let them know that they could do a presentation at our Big Talk. It's totally online. You don't have to travel. You don't come to Nebraska or anything. You just present from wherever you are, and you attend from wherever you are. It's hand that we use the same GoToWebinar software for the annual conference. And we are sponsored by the Nebraska Library Commission and the Association for Rural and Small Libraries, ARSL. So if you know about them, they are, we do this online conference in conjunction with them. All right, I think that's everything I need to say. Thank you everyone for sticking with us for this show. Thank you, Sally, for sharing your annual picks for children's books again. And we will see you, Sally, back in January, and hopefully we'll see some of you all on future episodes of NCompass Live. Bye-bye.
Bye.